Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about reading strategies. A lot of this we already covered after the most recent district assessment, but it's always good to have this to fall back on if we feel we need some extra help, but also something we need to be doing in class. So today we're going to be talking about reading strategies, using your strategies when working on passages. I'm trying to get my screen to advance. And it's thinking. There we go. So a lot of times I think you guys are feeling tense. I can see it in your body language. And maybe you tense up when you get a reading passage. Or what about during a district assessment? Well, the reason we're doing this is so we can practice together. So let's work together on reading strategies to help you feel more confident and less anxious. So the first strategy is I want you to look at the passage to identify the type of genre, and I want you to tap into background knowledge. So, bullet point 1, identify the type of genre. It's important because it tells you what characteristics to look for when reading, like if you're going to look for conflict in fiction or text structures in nonfiction, and it also helps set a purpose for your reading. Then I want you to think about the title and tap into your background knowledge. What do you know about this topic before you begin reading? The second strategy is to use thieves, should have an S at the end, I'll fix that, or smile. So if it's an informational text like nonfiction, then you'll use the thieves strategy. If it's poetry, then you'll use the smile strategy. And you need to remember these are pre-reading strategies to help you better understand the passage. You're not doing this while you're reading. This is what you do before you begin reading the passage. Next, we're going to read the passage and stop and jot while reading, never afterwards. Always do it while you're working on the passage. So you're going to read the passage thoroughly. You're going to stop and jot as you go to give the gist or the main idea of the passage. There's no need to mention details and get to the nitty-gritty. I want you to be more high level. Think about what the important things are and put it on, almost like think about like a plot map. What would be so important that you would put it on a plot diagram? And even use brackets to jot for a section of the passage. If this whole section of a passage, like 2 or 3 paragraphs, all have to do with the same thing, put a bracket around it and then stop and jot. Finally, I want you to stop and jot as you go through the passage, not afterwards. This deepens your comprehension, so do it while you're reading. Here's an example. Look at my notes. I used brackets to combine paragraphs and dialogue. They're brief, they're not detailed, they're high level, they give the gist of what was going on. Using brackets when I've got larger sections that are on the same topic. And I'm going to use them as placeholders so I can know where to look for answers as I get to the questions. At the same time, they help show my understanding of the events from the story. It's almost like a retell, but I'm just using a few words or a simple phrase. Next, strategy number 4, when working on questions, always refer back to the passage and show text evidence. So when we work on questions, always go back to the passage. Look for those answers. Don't just rely on your memory. You're going to show text evidence as you work on questions. So for example, you're going to underline the answers or the clues that lead you to the answer. And you can put a Q for a question and then the question number, like Q3 for question 3, or so on. And here's my example. Some of my Q and the numbers got cut off in the picture, but you can see where I'm underlining. My career as a penny pincher had begun. Every day after school, by the end of 3 weeks. These are 3 clues that help me for just one question. So let's look at the bullet points. Underlining text evidence that proves or justifies the answer. I put Q1 beside them to show what question they help answer. And also remember, it's okay if something underlined ends up answering more than one question. That's fine. Just put Q1 and Q5 and Q6 if needed. The next strategy is to eliminate answer choices. Eliminating bad answer choices helps you focus on answer choices that will lead you to the correct response. Eliminating answer choices increases your chances of selecting the correct answer. It's just something we need to do, best practice. Eliminating answer choices. You're going to eliminate bad answer choices, things that just don't make sense. It could be one or two of them, but by doing this, it increases your chances of getting the correct answer. So look at mine. I eliminated just one, but that helps me narrow down what to focus on and what to go back to the passage to look for text evidence for. I'm not going to worry about C. I'm just going to focus on seeing if A, B, or D are correct for me. Reading strategy 6. I'm going to mark the questions I want to come back to. So on the bullet point, I wrote make a mark beside or circle question numbers that you want to come back to. You should attempt to answer, but come back later to look at it maybe a second time. If you're just deliberating about, oh gosh, I can't decide between this or this, come back later, but go ahead and attempt your first choice of answer. And if you ever feel uncertain when selecting an answer, or if you maybe just find yourself spending too much time on a question, circle the question number and come back to it later. So that's really the main strategies we're going to use this year. Let's recap. And hopefully now you have some more confidence in using your strategies. So we're going to look at the passage to identify the type of genre, and we're going to tap into background knowledge. Next, we're going to use thieves or smile if needed. We're going to read the passage and stop and jot while reading, never afterwards. We're going to, when working on questions, we're going to refer back to the passage and show text evidence. We're going to eliminate bad answer choices. And finally, we're going to mark questions we might want to come back to just to double check our answer because we weren't completely sure. So if we're doing all these, we're going to work on these this year. You're going to be super successful when we do any kind of passages or assessments. All right, look forward to talking about this with you.